I love it. Not This Time by Christian Shields. Christian, is that you on the line with us?
Yes, I am on the line. Can you hear me okay?
Excellent timing, sir. Yeah, no, I can hear you great. This is wonderful. I love that track. I'm glad that we were able to play that on the show. We'll play the current single later on, of course, but that is great stuff, and it's wonderful to talk to you. It's been a long, long time. I think the last time I had seen you, you were used to live in Connecticut, right?
No, I lived in Rhode Island. That's where I'm from.
Rhode Island. It's kind of the same thing. I'm kidding, of course. No, but I knew it was somewhere in New England, somewhere in the southern sphere of New England. I think you had come up to Concord, New Hampshire, to play a show, and I think that was the last time I saw you in person. But so this is your first solo material, correct? Because you had been in a band.
Yeah.
You were in a band with your brother, right? At the time, I think back in the day.
Yes, we had a band together called Dreamer, and then we had a band together called Shields, and then this is my current project.
Okay, and now you're down in Austin, right?
Yep.
That's a great place to be. If you're going to be in Texas, Austin is definitely the the city for a musician. How long have you been down there?
I've been down here for almost 4 years now. I've been down here since 2016.
And what was the impetus of you moving? That's a big move from Rhode Island all the way down to Austin, Texas. What precipitated that?
Well, the production team we had worked with on the Dreamer records, or record, I should say, they came down here to Austin, and then they had suggested, because after Dreamer had broken up, my brother and I weren't doing anything. We were kind of just like regrouping and figuring out what we wanted to do next, and they kind of made the suggestion to come down here, for the music scene or what have you, and it happened pretty organically. We just went down there, checked the place out, fell in love, and came down.
Yeah, and that's is it everything that people say it is? In terms of the music scene there. Yeah,
I mean it's they have a slogan down here: "Keep Austin weird," and it's a weird but fun place to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on. There's always great music. There's great food, great people. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, and what was so you and your brother, he's not involved in your solo material at all, is that correct?
He played drums on a couple of tracks.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, he played drums on Not This Time, the song that you heard, and he played drums on Rock and Roll, the single we'll play later, which Not This Time, by the way, that is a worldwide premiere. I heard you mention that. Nobody has heard that single before you had played it, Matt, so thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you. We like the world premieres.
Yes, and he played on a couple tracks, and then I'm not going to comment on some personal stuff, but he had to step out, and we finished it with studio guy. Okay, all right. No, very good. Now the album is how many tracks on the album? 10 tracks. So it's a full album. I'm always curious to ask people this because we live in an era where it's very different than when I was growing up. Everybody put out an album. Before the internet became really the place to go for music. And occasionally an artist might put out an EP, but most of the time artists released albums. And of course now with the internet, you've got all the options. You can put out an album, you can put out an EP, you can just release singles. Some artists just release singles one at a time. What went into your decision to do the traditional full-length album? Well, my decision was I had a batch of songs that I had written that I was sitting on, and then also I started coming up with some new ideas. And I did entertain the EP route because I was like, do I want to commit to a full-length album? Or do I want to, just put out a single? Or do I want to put, it was a lot of back and forth decision wise. But I decided ultimately the album was the best way to go because I'm a rock fan, and I've always consumed new music buy the record or the album.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured doing it this way would be the best approach to deliver to my fans and, deliver to the world what I'm trying to do. So it just felt right. I guess that's a long answer to a short question.
You said you had a lot of songs that you were sitting on. Are any of the songs that you're doing now as a solo artist, do any of these go back to, were any of these songs used in previous projects with your brother or in some other configuration, or is this all kind of material that's exclusive to your solo career?
This is all material that's exclusive with the exception of one song called Lie to Me. It was demoed around the end of when we did Dreamer, and we had put it out as in demo form, but it nobody knows it, so I redid it the way that I wanted to do it for this.
Yeah. No, that's great. Are you playing out at all? Do you have a full band to play shows with, or are you more focused on promoting the album now? What's your tour schedule like, or are you touring?
Well, currently, right now, I'm not doing any shows. I'm in focusing on promotion of the record. I want to, wait and see what markets develop before I bring a band out on the road.
Yeah.
I have, I have musicians in mind that I'm going to, put the live act together with when it's time. Just right now, I'm focused on, getting through the promotion of the record and getting it out in January, and then I'll see what show opportunities or what makes sense develops from there.
When is the official release date? Is it January 20th? Did I read that?
January 31st. Last Friday of January.
January 31st. Okay, right. Yeah. It's funny. It's I had a guest on the show recently. A gentleman known as Scrimmy the Dirtbag. You might know Scrimmy, actually, but he's from up here, and we were talking about how when he and I used to work in a music store together, release dates were always on Tuesdays, and then it ultimately it ended up changing to Friday. Like the entire industry shifted, mainly because of Walmart putting things out early. So then the entire music industry kind of shrugged and said, "Okay, I guess we'll put things out on Fridays now instead of Tuesdays." But will it be in stores? Is it going to be strictly online? Because that's another decision that musicians seem to have to make nowadays is, whether or not to do physical copies of their albums or make it strictly an online release. What's your approach as far as that?
Everything right now is going to be available on all digital platforms worldwide. It'll be available for streaming. It'll be available for purchase digitally. I do have pre-orders for hard copy albums through my own personal online store.
Okay.
As far as distribution to local retailers, we'll just have to wait and see. Again, I think that all comes down to where the markets develop and where the demand is. And then, if something makes sense, then I'll do it,
Right. Absolutely. We're talking with Christian Shields, his new album, his solo debut called This Is Rock and Roll. It's coming out January 31st. If anybody in the Facebook live chat has a question or anything for Christian, feel free. I see Jenny in there, Michael Martineau, Wayne Noel, Rocky Huber, Michael Alber, Dr. Jeff Cassell is in there, Archie Frangudis, Tony Petrello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Christian, can you tell me a little bit about your influences? Because something that's always interested me about, well, first of all, I mean, you did send me digitally the advance of the album, and I love it. And really, really good. The production is top shelf, and I think the tunes are really strong. And I was thinking back, too, to when I first met you, with your previous projects, you always had kind of a, you're a young guy. You're still in your 20s, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I'm 28.
But you have the sound and the sensibility musically of someone older and wiser, shall we say. So can you talk to me about your influences? I mean, for one thing, I assume from the font on the album cover that is it safe to assume you're a Kiss fan?
Of course, Kiss is my number one favorite band, main influence. Paul Stanley's always been like an idol.
Yes.
It just, to me, it doesn't get better than them. And I know you're going to get people to argue that there's better songwriters, well, for me, they set the bar as far as showmanship, you know, just everything. And you need the complete package.
You get no argument from me, my friend. That is also my favorite band. And I also love Paul Stanley. I met Paul once, and, you know, I'm not one to get starstruck, but when I met Paul, the only words I could force out of my mouth were, "Paul, you're my hero." And that was all I could say. I was just paralyzed with, you know, just the moment, just with being in his presence. So I'm with you. Who else? Who else is a big influence on you?
Well, I'm a big classic rock guy. So let me just preface this a little bit. So obviously, like when we were doing, you know, my brother and I were doing the other projects, it had a little bit more modern influence on it. But me, I grew up on classic rock. My parents always had, you know, classic rock albums. They were always playing them. Well, they had cassettes, and they would always play them in the car when they bring us to school and stuff. So, you know, to me, you know, Sabbath, Zeppelin, you know, Kiss, Def Leppard. I mean, Def Leppard isn't really necessarily that classic because they're, you know what I mean? But still, like I cut my teeth on that stuff. So I decided when I did this project, you know, I wanted to do, you know, I wanted to go back to my roots and, you know, I wanted it to sound classic. I basically wanted the songs to be timeless. I wanted them to have that timeless feel and sound. And you know, I wanted to harken back, like I said, to my roots to get the desired effect.
I'm glad you said that, because that's kind of what I was thinking when I was listening to the new tracks, and with Not This Time, which we played a few minutes ago. That's a great example of something where, you know, you can tell listening to it, you know, you can kind of get an idea of what your influences are and that you're a classic rock guy and whatnot. But at the same time, it does sound fresh and it sounds modern. It doesn't sound like someone trying to sound like they're from another era necessarily. It's got those influences, but it also sounds fresh and modern and competitive with music that's out today. And there's other examples of that. You know, occasionally you'll hear something like that on the radio where it's like, okay, this sounds like, you know, you can really hear the influence, but it doesn't sound dated. It still sounds comfortable. I forget the name of the band now, but another example is they've got a big hit, that song, All I Wanted to Say. Do you know the song I mean? All I Wanted to Say, You're Going to Miss Me When I'm Gone.
I think you're talking about a band called Dirty Honey.
Yes. That is
Dirty Honey, I believe, is the name of the band. Dirty
Honey, yeah. That's what I think of when I hear them. You know, you can tell they're classic rock guys, and they sound like they kind of sound like they could be from the 80s, but they also sound fresh. You know, they sound comfortable with what's out today. You know, to be able to, I think that's probably a difficult needle to thread, or maybe not difficult, because you obviously you know how to do it and you sound great doing it. But to be able to kind of show off those influences, but at the same time still sound fresh and modern, and I mean the production is just fantastic, and like I said, the songwriting too, very, very strong. Do you write? Are all the songs self-written, or do you have co-writers, or how does that work?
No, for this I wrote everything front to back. Okay,
great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I mean, I worked with a great producer. His name is Kevin 131 Gutierrez. He's worked with Shinedown. He's worked with Paul McCartney. He's worked with Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked with Bret Michaels. I mean, he's done a ton of stuff. And then we had Chris Athens master it, and he just won a Grammy for doing Drake's Scorpion. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. Excellent. Oh, Gonzalez Marie. I wonder if it's supposed to be Marie Gonzalez, and she just has it backward on her profile. In the Facebook live chat says, "Tell him I said hello. He is doing great. It's Ashley." Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, Ashley. Yeah, that's my friend Ashley. Oh. Hi, Ashley.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Yes. So, do you have more material that you're going to be recording soon? Or, I mean, obviously you're focused on promoting this album, but are you one of these guys who's always got like just fresh batches of songs and, you're already thinking about the next album?
Well, I mean, I'm always writing. Anytime I come up with an idea, I always jot something down. Or if I have like a complete idea, I'll record a demo. But right now I'm really focused on this record. I think it's a really strong record, and I want to make sure I give it the time and dedication it deserves. And I think there's something for everybody on this record. I think, if you may not necessarily like one track, you'll like another. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to cover, the spectrum. But that being said, like, I'm just really focused and dialed in on this. And, if I write stuff, I will. I would probably say if I'm going to really start recording and working on new material, I would say probably summer or fall of next year.
Yeah. And tell me about the title, the album title, This Is Rock and Roll. I mean, tell me what's behind that title. It's a little audacious, in a good way. But that really kind of makes a statement. This is rock and roll. Tell me about the title.
Well, that was exactly the goal. I wanted to make a statement. People that know me personally have always known that I speak in absolutes, and I try to speak as clear and concise as possible. That being said, originally I was going to call the album Rock and Roll based on, the lead single, because to me it was about setting an attitude, setting a precedent. Yeah. And we see a lot of, in the press and in the media, we see everybody say rock is dead or this is the new rock. It seems like nobody has a clue what rock and roll is anymore.
Right.
So basically I made this record and then I was going to call it Rock and Roll. And I said, no, we need to call it This Is Rock and Roll. So when people pick up this record and they put it in or they stream it on their phone or whatever, they know exactly what they're getting from the opening track to the closing track. You are getting This Is Rock and Roll. And
the album cover, I think, kind of speaks to that. And, I did share it out for people online on Facebook. It is on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. You can see in the post the album cover, and it's it's kind of evocative of a specific. I'll let you answer before I guess. Is it intended, because I want to see if I'm right? Is it intended to be evocative of a particular album cover by a particular classic rock band that we may or may not have talked about earlier?
Actually, that album cover heavily influenced this cover. So for those of you guys that don't know, what me and the photographer, he's this brilliant guy named Julian LeMay. He's down here in Austin, and we came up with an idea because he does a lot of a concept called like a dichotomy. And what he does a lot of like two photos and combining them together, like kind of like he'll take a picture of one person and then have them dressed differently and take a picture of them and like put them together for like an alter ego. I mean, I'm explaining it bad on radio. You guys would have to check it out in person. But the concept was, because I went into this with no band. It was me, a producer, and then a bunch of studio guys to round out the parts I couldn't play, or they played it better than me.
Yeah.
We basically wanted to capture on the album cover the energy of the record.
Okay.
And what better way than like the classic rock bands, like a club scene? You got the band playing on stage, you got the girls in front, and you got the crowd. And we took influence from Van Halen 1, that album cover.
Yep.
I mean, they weren't necessarily all together playing on stage, but it was almost like live poses of all of them.
Right.
And Kiss's Love Gun.
Yep.
And put them together and made that album cover. And I think the end result is brilliant.
Yes. Oh, and it turns out I was right with my guess. No, that's fantastic. Yeah. No, I love the cover.
Hey, Matt, like Paul Stanley says, to quote the great Paul Stanley.
Yes.
I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just putting my own spin on it.
That's right. Oh, well done. No, it's fantastic. I love the cover. No, I love everything about the album. I think it's very, very strong. And are you going to do... I
love it too.
Yeah, good. Are you going to do any kind of videos or anything like that in the works, or what's kind of next steps for this whole project?
I'm kicking around the idea of what I want to do as far as some music videos. Right now, I'm just, focused on the singles, the audio streams.
Yeah.
I don't want to say no to anything, but I don't want to comment on speculation either. I mean, I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things in the work, and we just got to kind of just wait and see how the cards fall or the chips fall or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope I hope for great things. Like I said, I think the album is great. I've always, I don't know you terribly well, but I've always thought highly of you, and I wish you success.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
I think you deserve it. No, you're a great guy. You're very down to earth, very talented, and I really like what you're doing. And these songs, but also, I want to be able to hear these songs in an arena. So there may be a little bit of a selfish motive on my part, but I want to be able to go to an arena and see you live and hear these songs in an arena, because these deserve that. You know what I mean? It'll be great in a club too, but I want to see you I want to see you on the big tour in a big arena. And I would say I'd like to see you opening for Kiss, but they're on the end of the road tour, so that opportunity is probably too late for that. But we'll see. Oh, hello to Gabriel Gerber in the Facebook live chat, who says, "Let's go, my boy, making it happen." So there you go.
Yeah, it's my friend Gabe. But yeah, me too. I definitely another goal of this record and these songs was, we thought of the Kevin, producer, and I. We thought of like arena elements, because that's we felt like little kids making this record. We felt like we were teenagers again.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I've always been a fan of Kiss. I mean, I've seen them live probably 20 times at this point.
Yeah.
I've seen Def Leppard. I've seen Styx, Tesla. Motley Crue, which I can't wait for them to come back. Maybe I can get on tour with them.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be a cool tour. But, just to me, there's just something about those shows. There's something about that atmosphere, being in the crowd with those people and the shows. It's again, to quote Paul Stanley again, it's like church. It's just weird. I mean, it's not weird, but it's a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll wrap up in a moment, and we'll play the lead single, Rock and Roll. But Christian, what do people need to know in terms of keeping up with everything that you're doing online? Where should they go? I assume you're on all the social media sites and whatnot, but what do you want people to know about where to find the album and all that stuff?
All right. So This Is Rock and Roll is available for pre-order now on all major media outlets except for Pandora, and that's to pre-save it to stream it. Pandora's sometimes can be a little tough to get on, or it takes a minute.
Yeah.
Because they have like an acceptance process and all that, and I'm sure they got a million people to go through. But anyway, you can visit my website. It's ChristianShieldsRocks.com. Again, that's ChristianShieldsRocks.com. You can find me on Facebook at Facebook.com/ChristianShields. On Twitter at Chris_Shields23, or on Instagram at ChristianShields23. Feel free to message me. I'll try to respond to everybody. You can go on, sign up for my email list from my website, and then that'll keep you updated on all new things. And then on YouTube, just search Christian Shields, and you'll find me on there as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so we're gonna get this track queued up, and we'll let you go. Christian, thank you so much, my friend. Congratulations on the album. I think it's great, and we will let's talk again soon. Maybe once the album is out, we can reconnect again and have you back on and kind of get an update on everything you got going on.
Absolutely. I might have to make a trip up there to Manchester.
Oh, even better. Even better. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for your time today, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, brother. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That was the great Christian Shields, and here it is. This is the lead single from the new album. This is Rock and Roll. This is simply called Rock and Roll, and we'll be back. More Unleashed coming up.